Hey Salmon Squad, week 3, Salmon Science Friday. So hopefully by now you know the drill. This is going to be the time where you're going to pull out your observation sheet, your dry erase board, notebook, whichever you want to use to make your observations. I'm going to take you on a little bit more of an adventure today. We're going to look at a couple different corners of the tank because my challenge to you this week is going to be picking a spot in the tank that we're going to use for our drawing that we'll be able to make the same observations in this one spot, maybe week to week to week. You don't have to do this, but I'm calling this my salmon spot. I don't know if you've ever done a sit spot before outside. It's a really cool activity where you go outside, you pick a place that you can access every day, maybe out in your front yard or backyard, where you can sit down in the same spot every day, make observations about the world around you, and see how things change over time. And I thought that this would be great to use for our salmon tank because things are going to keep changing inside our underwater environment. And so this will be a cool way for you to sort of capture, like a photograph, a moment in time in our salmon tank, that when we look back on it every week, we can see how this one little area has changed. For my observations this week, I chose my salmon spot is actually, this is what pulls the water in to the chiller that makes it cold. I'm going to show you how this is sort of a hot spot for our salmon. And another thing I wanted to mention is also when you're checking the live stream every day or every week, right now especially, it might look like there are no salmon in there. What's happening with our alevin is that they're actually dug in and hiding. So they've had a couple weeks now where they've hatched and things are getting a little more calm. They're finding their places, so you're going to see a lot of little tails sticking up out of places. So what I wanted to capture is that piece of equipment. I actually see a lot of little tails sticking out of the bottom of it, so I'm curious to see if this area by the chiller changes week to week. So let's dive in. Holy bagels. The responses and the amount of responses we've been getting through our Flipgrid and our online form have been incredible. So from that first week to last week, we have seen so many of our Salmon Squad of tank observers really stepping up to the challenges of the journaling. We've seen you all stepping up and asking really great questions, making very cool comments, sometimes very funny comments, which I also really appreciate and encourage. And so, like I said, I'm going to be answering your questions through these Salmon Science Fridays. This is our way of connecting and having fun with each other through salmon. And so the first question that I want to answer for this week is going to be from Juan in Sunnyslope. So they tuned in and worked kind of as a class. They showed me their all of their observations and their drawings. They gave me some of their observations by telling me. But Juan asked a question that I am so excited about. So this was a question that I didn't quite know for sure what the answer was going to be. I told their class that this is my favorite part of my job, is when students actually challenge me and ask me questions that I'm not 100% sure about. I get to go do a little bit of scientific research. So thank you, Juan, for this question. This was a really cool question and really challenged me. So the question is, why do alevin have a pink yolk sac and a clear body? And it's a two-part question. I'll answer the first part first. So what I have found is that when when salmon are this young, the most important thing for them to do right now is survive. And I've told you before, I'll tell you again, usually in nature, the eggs would have been buried under the gravel by their mom. So this is their form of protection. Now, the way they develop is going to be sort of the most important stuff in the beginning, and then the other stuff like the pigment of their skin will change depending on what challenges that they're facing next. So right now, like I said, they'd usually be buried under the gravel. So having that camouflage on their body isn't quite important right now. What their bodies are doing are developing organs, so the stuff inside the bodies that help them to digest and make blood and survive. That's what's developing right now. That's why they've got that big giant yolk sac on their belly, is to keep them safe. They don't have to leave to go look for food. So they got a lot of work to do before they transition from what I call noodle aliens to fish as we know them. And so when they're clear, it's because the pigment in their skin hasn't had time to develop yet. There's more important work to be done in the body. So that pigment in their skin will come a little bit later, when it's time for them to leave the gravel and start exploring and looking for food. So the next part of your question was, why is it not all one color? And this, I think, goes into that camouflage sort of category. So once they do start developing the silvery colors, we're going to see their bodies change over time, their skin change over time, and that will reflect the different habitats that they're living in. So they're not going to be all one color, because that would stand out in nature. If we had just a silver fish in a river, like where salmon live, against this rocky habitat right now, you would see it really well. So they're not going to be all the same colors, because they're going to want different colors, different, when they turn into par, they'll get those big bars on their body, so different patterns. And that's why you'll see nothing will be sort of all one color. Maybe when they get out to the ocean and they turn much more silvery, because the ocean doesn't have a bunch of rocks and stuff that they're spending all their time in. They'll spend their time in open water where it's really silvery and dark and blue. So a little bit more uniform, or what is all the same color, but still little differences in textures. I hope that answered your question. Thank you so much, Juan. And please, everybody, reach out to me, make comments, make Flipgrids. They're super fun. Thank you for hanging out with me on Salmon Science Friday, week 3.